All right. Welcome to the Big Ben Fishing Report. I am Jay Carson. This is Kenny Mullins, as always. Can you get your headphones on?
It's really loud.
Oh, is it?
Really loud.
Okay. I got
Sound check. 1, 2.
There you go.
Check,
Is that
check.
better?
No,
Well, it might be just your headphone volume there, dude.
it might be.
Try it now. How's that better? Is that better?
Much better.
You guys
Okay.
got to get it together.
There you go. Okay. All right. So yeah, like I was saying, Kenny, you had like 30 minutes to get situated here, and
Yeah, I didn't. It's blowing.
and you're how about now? I got all the volume all the way
That's
down.
better.
Is that better? All right. Okay. All right. So let's try this one more time.
Real professional guys.
I am Jay Carson. This is Kenny Mullins, and we have the golf extraordinaire down here, Evan Snow, PGA professional, aspiring PGA professional.
Yeah.
I had a question. I don't know if you saw it today, Evan, that somebody wanted to know about your golf game, so we might have to touch on that
Yep.
here a little bit.
We can talk a little golf.
Yeah, so might have to put that on the docket for a few minutes. Anyway, like I said, I'm Jay Carson. This is the Big Ben Fishing Report. This is the month of October. We are in Keaton Beach. We are at the Keaton Beach Trading Post right here, right across from the boat ramp, pretty much. I mean, I can see the boat ramp right out the window from here. So if you just come to the boat ramp and look across the street, you'll see the Keaton Beach Trading Post, and you can see that they've got a bunch of stuff back here. Got some hot sauces over Evan's shoulder there, and then got lots of shirts. Stephanie said that they got a sale going on right now. I think you can get some stuff 25% off if you come in here. Can you show them these boots? These buoy boots. So I know a lot of you are familiar with the Extra Toughs and the hooks.
They look really good on Evan. They look really good on Evan.
They kind of serve that same purpose.
I got my swig cup in here, the leather bound swig cup. It's great for holding brown liquids of all manner, hot and cold.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so I guess we're going to talk a little bit of fishing. We're not going to follow any kind of specific format, I guess, tonight. But as we go, maybe we'll just tackle questions as they pop up. So if you got a question as we're talking about something, you want to throw it in the chat, just go ahead and throw it in there. And we might not wait till the end of the show tonight to answer questions. We might just jump on those at any point. So get them coming, get them in, get the questions coming in as we're talking about stuff. We've all three been spending a lot of time on the water last little bit. So we got a lot of information to share with you. Man, so let's just kind of get right into it. I guess since the hurricane, let me put that in quotation marks, we did have some water conditions affected by the hurricane, right?
Yes.
I mean, care to elaborate a little bit more on that? As far as the water being sucked out, I know most people in our area, our region, saw the fact that we had 2 days of no water. Yeah, essentially.
Yep. From Panacea all the way to Tampa Bay was sucked out.
Was blown out. Yeah, and it was. I don't know if you guys seen, but there's a lot of floating grass out there, and a lot of the grass was killed from being exposed to the dry air for 2 days. It hadn't affected the fishing though.
Do you think that's killed grass? Do you think that's just pushed in when water came back in?
I mean, it's definitely changed colors, right? So it's not the dark green of the trail
right.
grass.
No,
it's more
not.
of to me,
brownish.
What it looks like is it looks like when your yard goes dormant in the winter.
Yeah.
And is that dead or is it just?
I don't think it's dead.
You know,
I'm thinking it killed. I'm thinking like when I guess maybe when your yard goes dormant in the winter, but it's definitely going to
color.
It's changed colors, right? In a matter of 2 days, it went from lush and green to kind of being flat, laid over, and brown.
I was worried about it just all cutting loose and just being bare, but I don't think it's going to do that.
So what do you think?
I think there's enough moisture.
How long's it been? 10 days or so since it happened? I don't know. When did it come through? 2 weeks ago?
I think
it doesn't look like it's turning through.
No,
turning loose. I mean,
I think there'd be enough moisture in the mud to.
No, the roots are still alive for sure. Yeah, it's not like the grass is decimated or anything like that. It's going to come back probably pretty quickly. It'll probably start to grow immediately underneath whatever it's is there.
Ribosomes.
Yeah.
So a scientific word for you.
So what do you think all the floating grass that's out there right now is from?
I think it pushed in when the water came back in.
I think it's from some of that grass turning loose when it died, and like Kenny said, just if you notice, we haven't had any rain even through the hurricane and stuff. We got zero rain down here.
Yeah, we've had
and
zero rain.
The water was really dark, and I think that's just from the turbulence from so much water moving in and out, and it probably stirred up some grass, and some of it cut loose from dying.
Yeah.
But I think it's clearing back up now. But for a week or so there afterwards, it was really dark.
Yeah, there's some areas where, it's interesting. It kind of depending on where you're at too. There's areas where the floating grass is predominantly turtle grass, and then there's areas where it's predominantly manatee grass, and then you've got some areas where there's this like suspending wispy grass that's because I was
like algae looking stuff.
that where I was out fishing a little bit deeper and
drift algae.
Yeah, throwing spoons, and every cast was getting just little thin blades of grass on there, and was making it tough for a little while, but we were able to move around and get out of it. But I guess but as far as the weather goes, the weather has been beautiful.
Yes.
Gorgeous. I mean, the temperature's right, the water temperature's right, the conditions have been
It's absolutely perfect, because when you go out in the morning, you need a jacket first, a little brisk and cool on that ride out.
Yeah.
But then by 10 o'clock, you're peeling the jacket off. It gets nice and warm. I mean, it's just beautiful.
It is absolutely gorgeous weather, and I think it's supposed to stay like that too. I think we got another little front coming through this week. It's supposed to drop back off, get down in the 40s. I think in the mornings over the weekend.
What?
Yeah,
40s?
Yeah, 40. I think in Perry, it's supposed to be 47 Saturday and Sunday morning. So
it'll be freezing.
So yeah, we got some.
To that yet. these 60-degree mornings have been cold.
Yeah. It probably won't be that cold quite down here, but as inland it'll be a little cool. But again, we got another front coming through. No rain. Well, I think actually we do have a little bit of chance to rain on Thursday.
We could use a little rain.
We could use a little rain.
We could use a little rain.
Last I looked, it was 80% Thursday, unless it's changed.
That'd be fine.
Yeah.
That's 50 now. 50 on Wednesday and 50 on Thursday.
Well, so if they're calling for 50% chance of rain down here, it means it's not going to rain.
Yeah.
It needs to be 100 to get any rain.
For sure. All right, so I guess enough of the weather talk, enough of talking about how beautiful it is. Let's talk about the fishing, because the fishing has been just on fire here. What? I don't know if you guys noticed this at all, but the couple days right after the water came back, it seemed like it took things a little bit to kind of get acclimated and get going. But then once everything got settled, it was like a switch turned, and it got, bite's been really good. You agree? Disagree?
I didn't fish right after the water came in. I waited until I saw everyone else was catching. No, it just worked out.
Probably a good strategy.
No.
Well, I had a golf tournament, so I didn't fish for a couple days.
Well, okay. So, anyway.
What's funny is that's a pretty significant tidal weather event, whatever you want to call it. I mean, the water was gone for days, 2 days.
2 days.
Yeah.
And that's you would think that would just really reshuffle and redistribute things. In a way, it may have. But, man, I'm fishing the same exact spots and the same exact patterns as I was this time last year and the year before. And they found their way right back to where they should be.
Let me tell you something weird that I saw after the water came back in. And this was a couple days after. I think it was 2 days after the water came back in. It was the Sunday after. Water came back Friday. I was out Sunday. And I was pulling one of my flats that I like to pull, and there was sheep's head all over the flat, like redfish, like in there, like you would see them in February. Like late January, early February, you see them push in on the flats, and you'll see them just in, just like literally in there. They were everywhere 2 days after.
I
haven't seen them since.
I had a thought on that. When you kind of walked out there at the beach that day, all the water was gone, and there were little crabs dead everywhere that got caught when the water went out, and little small fish. Maybe that's why the fishing was off for a couple days. I mean, the fish that came back in may have just had a smorgasbord of dead shrimp and crabs
for sure.
Just scavenging because they had to eat really well on just that stuff that's left over. The birds ate well.
Yeah,
Birds definitely.
So, it was a little wonky for, a couple days there because there was plenty of stuff just laying dead on the bottom for them to eat crabs. That could have been what those sheep said were doing.
Yeah, it was wild. I've never seen, even in February, you'll see an occasional. It was literally they were everywhere. They were mixed in with the redfish, and they were just as prolific as the redfish on this.
Well, that
flat
makes
that I was
sense if there's in there feeding like he said.
Right.
Redfish is going to be in there feeding on those crabs, and sheep's head to be feeding on the crabs.
So that was kind of interesting, cool. We had some shots at some sheep's head on fly, and needless to say, none of those worked.
I'm going to bring up something from last month. We're talking about the water sucking out, and Nevin mentioned about the snook being redistributed after the hurricane. Did y'all see where a bonefish was caught in Crystal River last week?
I did not see that. No, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, there was a bonefish caught in Crystal River, a bonefish caught in Tarpon Spring, 2 bonefish caught in Tarpon Springs after the storm.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't it make sense though that like so you think about it from just north or just south of Tampa Bay, pretty much all the way to up here, all that water was sucked out into kind of one big pool, I guess you could say, right? And so then when it came back in, everything was kind of could have been redistributed.
Well, that was the theory that I talked about it with JR at the Osceola River store years ago when Irma happened. And that was his theory. He's been fishing over there at the Osceola forever.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he's never caught a snook. Then all of a sudden after Irma, after that big event similar to what we had, people started catching snook all of a sudden. Has anybody seen a snook? Anybody caught
That's
any
what
snook?
No, I was
since
wondering.
the,
I was going to ask you guys
event?
the same question.
No,
I haven't heard of
it.
anything.
I don't know.
I haven't heard of any.
I know. I did see one come out of Steenhatchee this past weekend. So one came in or out of around.
I think they
Steenhatchee.
pretty much live there.
Yeah,
now.
they've got some resident fish.
Yeah, they
there.
do. Yep.
I feel like some of our area does also.
I did speak to somebody here in the last few days, and within the last week and a half, they were up one of our resident creeks and saw a school of 5 big ones laying in a hole in one of our resident creeks. So take that information for what you will.
And we get excited a little bit about having snook here, and because that's a cool game fish and to open up for us to target. But Kenny had a interesting take on the snook, talking to some of the older guys in Crystal River, because Crystal River used to not have snook.
Yep.
And now they do. So there's some interesting take on that. What was he saying to you, Kenny?
Yeah, he was saying we don't want them. They started. His belief is they started eating the trout, the redfish, because they're a big predator fish, and a 12-inch trout's nothing for a big snook to eat. And it will. They said it changed the fishery drastically.
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, anytime you have a predatory species move into an area that it's not real prevalent, it's going to have an effect on the whole food chain, food web throughout the ecosystem.
Oh yeah, I mean they're way up in the Swanee River, past Fanning Springs, eating bass. I mean, bass fishermen complaining about them.
That's interesting.
Damn nuisance snook.
Well, we don't have to go far. I mean, if we wanted to go catch one, you don't have to go far to get one.
No, not at all.
And our fishery is phenomenal without them. I mean, obviously it'd be cool to have them. But.
Well, it would be, but you got to think about a snook's habitat, and they like the mangroves, they like structures, docks, seawalls, passes, hard bottom. We don't have a lot of that. Our edges are soft out here. We have some areas with some rocks. We have some rivers with some rocks where they tend to hang out.
Right.
And but the mass majority of our coastline isn't snook habitat, traditional. So,
what you would think
if we
of,
get some, they may not hang. They may just hang in certain areas. Like the Osceola River has been a hot spot with all those rocks and hard edges there. And just I don't see them really hanging here. They just don't have the habitat. I don't think.
Guys, we're talking. So what we've been talking about. I see there's 30 people in here with us tonight. So we appreciate everybody joining us and coming and hang out and while we talk a little fishing, and we're talking a little bit about snook. So if anybody has any any experiences or stories or any theories as to why we've seen an increase in the last several years or a decrease or whatever, if you got anything you'd like to throw in there about some of the snook that we've been seeing and catching, feel free.
We spent 10 minutes
throw
talking
that.
about snook on the
Big Bend Fisher Report. Yeah.
Well, we do have some in the Big Bend area.
Yeah. So. Yeah. So anyway, so if you got those comments or questions, feel free to throw those in. Like I said, we're kind of doing an open mic night, so if you we normally wait till the end to tackle questions, but if you got a question or a comment and you want to throw that in, we'll try to just get to them as we go. And so speaking of that, and this can kind of transition us into my Michael Amos says recent one caught in Carabel too. So there you go. That's way over west of us.
Yeah.
David Lee Sr. and I guess we can kind of talk about what our fishing report is from this past weekend. We can talk. Everybody can kind of chime in on what was successful and what was working. David Lee Sr. says, Kenny, you killed it today. How deep and what bait? Looking good and slim. Kenny's shed some pounds since the last time we saw him.
Skinny mini.
45.
There you go. So yeah, Kenny. So what? I mean,
so
we always get the question, what bait and how deep? But
yeah,
that's
yeah.
it's
relative.
Yeah,
I mean,
cut bait at the bird rack.
But let's just why don't you talk about your recap of your last couple of days, and then we can each kind of take a turn doing that.
I've thrown a mix of stuff. A couple of days ago we did good on live shrimp as far as trout. Today we caught, I think, 2, maybe 3 short trout on shrimp. Everything else came on the saltwater assassin, watermelon slice, and drunk monkey jerk shads, rigged on an owner twist lock, 1/8 ounce.
Mm-hmm.
And we also caught our biggest trout today. We caught on Mirrodines. Did really good yesterday, early morning on top water. Mirrodines first drift. We had a limit of trout and reds.
Which one? The XL,
the XL.
The XL.
I've been
okay.
using the XL, the red back with the gold broken glass gold side.
Okay. So the broken glass gold one is the one you've been throwing.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, with the red back.
That's
Not
a good
that
one.
matters,
yeah.
but mainly, I mainly.
I don't know that I've ever seen a red black back with a.
They have them at Keaton Beach Bums.
Okay, there you go.
So, and I only bought 2 of them. We lost one today to.
Yeah, that's only about a 6-iron away from here.
Bro, yeah.
And been throwing mainly gold spoons for the reds. Really, I mean, I've been catching fish anywhere from 2.5 feet to 4.5, 5 feet.
Yeah. Yep.
They're all over.
There's a lot of places you can go. Matt Lanier, he wanted to pipe in. He said he caught a snook a couple weeks ago near the Finn Holloway. There's been, I've heard some reports up that way that there's been some caught up there.
I saw that.
Yep. So that was a pretty nice one too.
It was.
Yeah. Congrats.
All right. So is that all you got? So that pretty much as far as the Mirrodines for the trout, gold spoons for the redfish,
and the jerk shads.
Shads.
Drunk monkey
Okay.
and watermelon slice has been the 2 best.
All right, Evan, what's your last couple days been like?
It's been pretty good.
When you're not on the golf course.
Yeah, it's I haven't. Maybe I'm not on them as good as Kenny. Of course, me and Kenny's been fishing right beside each other for the last couple of days, within shouting distance, just about. But,
you got to hear all my people.
Yeah,
hollering
you had
today.
a lively group today. It's good. It's not full on switch turned up to 10 October, but honestly, guys, when it gets like this, October fishing is the easiest fishing you're gonna have all year. Now in April, I mean, you go out there, you can throw anything. You throw plastics, you can throw top water and catch them. You can throw spoons, you can throw popping corks. I mean, really anything you want to fish with. If you get in the right zone where the fish are, they're gonna bite it. If you like bait. And you're not above fishing with bait, there's really no reason for you, if you're coming down here, not to just have a live well of 100 shrimp and a 4-horseman popping cork. You sling that around in there and 2 to 5 feet of water, you're going to catch some fish.
Yeah, how's the pinfish been? I mean, I've been having
they're
pinfish.
chewing them off. You're going to go through some shrimp.
Yeah,
the pinfish are still out there chewing.
Yeah, but it hasn't been terrible.
Yeah, but they're getting them.
Yeah.
But
keep them moving, keep popping.
Yeah, I mean, bottom line is a live shrimp's going to catch some fish, but you don't have to use shrimp. You can do whatever you want to do.
Right.
Really.
Yeah.
The trout's still not.
Trout hasn't fired off yet.
Yeah, it's not. It's not.
We've caught more redfish last.
It's been the redfish has just been ridiculous.
And they're out in the open. They're not. I mean, some of them are stacking up on the high tide, but you can catch them a half mile to 3/4 mile offshore right now. They're just all over the place.
Yeah, most of the bigger trout I've been catching's pushed way out still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been some small ones when I've been in there shallow looking around. I've seen some some trout in there, shallow, but they hadn't been real big. I haven't seen any real big ones yet.
No, all the big ones I've been
Yep.
catching deep.
Well, I know a thing we've been talking amongst each other about is the average size of the redfish. We go from summer to late summer, early-ish fall, where all the redfish are big. We're not catching huge numbers, but when you catch them, they're pretty chunky fish.
Right.
And now it's you're not catching that many.
Lots of
Low- lower
23s,
slot.
lots of 24s,
Yeah,
lots of
mid
22s.
to lower
Yep.
slot.
Yeah, tons of those.
That
Much
mid
like-
to lower
Yeah,
slot.
yep, tons of those.
I seen a giant yesterday, but like I was telling you all, I mean, we threw everything at
Yeah.
it, just couldn't get it to eat.
Yeah, so I fished last 2 days, and it, last couple days and targeting redfish mainly. So we caught a bunch of redfish, but we caught some on top water early. Was throwing a skitter walk, sight fished a few on top water, so that was pretty cool. And then we pretty much threw spoons. I've been throwing Little John watermelon on a jig head on some oyster bars and creek mouth and things like that, and been having some success on
Fish
that.
bite watermelon baits.
Seems like they. I mean, you could put a piece of watermelon on there, maybe. I don't know.
That watermelon red is hot. But
It
the
works
watermelon
good. Yeah,
slice
yep.
is where it's at.
So I was catching some on Little John, which is just a little merely Little John is just a little shrimp imitation type bait bouncing off the bottom. So that was working. But the main thing was the gold spoon.
Yeah.
And I was finding them stacked, but I also was just working some areas like we were talking about, and then catching some bigger. It seems like that when I was off of the stacked fish, I was catching bigger fish.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that.
So
They're kind of bullying around on their own.
Yeah, I mean,
they are.
if you want bigger reds, you're better off just drifting flats, trout fishing, and picking them up.
I did run over a school of about 200 redfish in like 7 feet of water the other day, just out there, just hanging out. So I mean, there's definitely some schools, and the schools are hit and miss because sometimes they're in shallow and sometimes they're out there deep
I think
water.
they're out there doing it, man.
Yeah, they're just out there hanging out, and so it's just kind of a random thing. If you run into a school, good for you. Just consider yourself lucky. They might not be there the next day. But they might.
There's no rhyme or
There
reason
isn't.
to it. They're
No.
they're just roaming.
Yeah.
I mean, if you get on one, have fun with it.
Yeah,
But
exactly. All right, Steve Black says he went out Friday and tore them up in the morning. Then they shut off just about high tide. What do you do on those days? I stayed for 3 hours trying to catch one more, and nothing. So
See, I
go ahead.
I saw the same thing Saturday. I had a double, and we did really good Saturday morning.
Mhm.
We strictly redfish. That's all they wanted to do.
Right.
And but the bite definitely shut down. But as soon as that tide turned, it was on.
Evan and I kind of talked about this a little bit. We're on this full moon, so if you look at the tide charts, we're having these really big high tides in the afternoon. And when that water gets up and pushes up into places where, those fish can literally go anywhere that they want to. And sometimes, when that water gets up, the bite can't slow down because they can literally go anywhere they want to. They can scatter out. They can go.
they're all in the cord grass and the Spartina grass. And if you can see Kenny's phone, they're doing that right there in the grass instead of out there where you're at because
Yeah.
your boat's not going to be right there.
Yep.
That's where when it got up them high flood tides, that's where I've been in that sparse grass.
Yeah.
Way south of Steenhatchee.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons. I mean, you'll still find some fish. It's just, when you get big, high water, it can make it sometimes tough to really stay locked in on a good bite through that big, high water.
Well,
Yeah,
the
and-
lower water's just condensing them.
For sure,
Bottom line,
yeah, yeah.
I mean, if you're familiar with fishing our coastline, you got, on that incoming tide, you can watch it, and there's this mud bank, and then it's kind of the top, and then that cord grass or Spartina or whatever starts. And before that water gets to the grass, they're all pulled up on the edge.
Yeah.
Once the tide's high enough to get there, but not high enough where it's going in the grass, that's where the fish are at. So you can get in there on the coastline and really do some damage for that small window, depending on the tide, whether it be 3 hours or it might be 40 minutes, and that's good. But once that once everything starts to flood, all these little feeder creeks, all these little tidal creeks and things like that, they just
go wherever.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the times, like what Steve is seeing, is he's just not transitioning quick enough with the fish.
Mm-hmm. That could be,
know.
could be it too. Yep.
Especially on these
those
moons.
tides, they will move.
Yeah, they'll move fast.
They will
move fast. See, if you follow them from the very lowest part of the tide, which I like to do, it's almost hard to stay in front of them.
Yeah.
As they move in, it can be very hard to stay in front of them.
I mean, how many times have we been pulling a flat and just
they get inside of you,
just rolling in.
They get inside of them. And you get a little offshore breeze, and you can't get it there in front of them, and it makes it tough. Yeah. Justin Anderson, what's up, fellas? Can't wait to get back over there. Justin, man, how you doing? Thanks for tuning in tonight. I appreciate it, man. You guys are fishing some phenomenal flood tides. Justin's over there in Jacksonville, St. Augustine, so he's got a boat exactly like mine, and they've been fishing some floods over there. So I've been seeing some good stuff from over there.
The guy with the yellow hat is a legend.
Yeah, I was going to say, have I missed any comments so far? It says, what does Steve Black says? Mary Lum. What is it? What the?
Maybe tagging someone.
Maybe. Okay, maybe he's tagging somebody. Okay. Steve Black, nice plug for Keaton Beach Bums. Yeah, man, we live in Keaton Beach Bums, pretty much all three of us.
Oh yeah.
Monica's going to be dropping a baby.
I was going to say she's about to have her baby over there. Yeah. So we want to wish them. Good luck through that whole process, Monica. I was wondering why I hadn't seen Monica in there as much, but she's carrying a little bit of extra weight. Yeah. And like I said, guys, if you guys got any questions as we go through this, we'll tackle those and talk about whatever you guys want to talk about tonight as well. Eddie says, is it okay to wear socks with sandals in the winter and not fish as much as the other folks? Just checking. Man, Eddie, you are missing out if you are not fishing as much in the wintertime.
Oh, he knows. He knows.
He'll go, man. Me and Eddie are going to start playing golf, man. I take him fishing. He shows up, banged all up, falling on glass tables. He complained all day one day about his side hurting. I'm like, oh, this old man's just, whining and crying out here. And we get back and clean and fish, and he raises his shirt, and his whole side's black and blue. I'm like, oh, man. Like I'd be in the hospital. We go out, it's freezing cold. It's raining, socks on, sandals, So I think I'm just going to have to stay on the golf course with Eddie.
Jason Johnson, appreciate you joining us tonight. He says, hey, guys, good to see you from Cherry Lake. Jason, you ever get to bass fish Cherry Lake much? I know there's some guys that go up there and bass fish a little bit.
Stalk them beds.
Yeah.
It's getting to be that time.
I know. So I know there are several guys that go up there and bass fish Cherry Lake. So I'm curious to see how that's been. If you got any input, Jason, feel free to share that. All right, so let's talk a little bit about. So if you had to peg down, and we'll start with you, Kenny. Your favorite thing to do in the month of October?
Gold spoons and redfish.
Okay, and that was super easy.
It is.
It's super easy.
Yeah,
October's easy.
Yeah.
What about you, Ev?
I mean,
top water.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to answer that pretty much every month, but that's my favorite thing to do.
I'll tell you what I like to do in October and November, and even in December a little bit. But it started early this year because I guess pretty much when it turned October, fall. It was fall. We got cool weather. I like to get out on those bluebird sunny days and go sight fishing. And you get that good sun at your back, and get that get over some grass, and just go out there with either a little plastic paddle tail or something, and then or a fly rod out there, and just get out there and just go look for fish. Because with the clear water and the bright sunshine that you get after a front, the sight fishing can be really good. So that's probably my favorite thing to do in October.
They're targeting floaters.
Yeah, floaters over the grass, man. I like to do that sometimes even more than I like to target. I love targeting tailors too, but floaters over the grass because you're seeing which way that fish is facing, and you're trying to make a presentation.
When you're targeting floaters, you see everything.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you're tailing, you might be making longer casts.
Right.
And you might see the swirl or the shift, but you don't always see them eat your fly or lure or whatever. But those floaters, you see everything. It's almost like you see them identify the bait and make the decision to eat it, then go eat it.
And you watch the fish's body language. You can see immediately when that fish is about to eat your bait.
It's like his radar goes up, and then he just charges.
Yeah, and I saw something cool that happened the other day. Is there was a big stingray, and there were 5 fish basically, just kind of patrolling the edges of this stingray, kind of like his squad. And man, we pitched the bait out there and right on top of that stingray, and all 5 of those fish went to try to go eat that bait. It was really cool. We actually didn't catch a single one of them because the guy that I was fishing got too excited and pulled the bait out of the water before the red fish ate it.
It'll happen.
Oh yeah.
So, but yeah, it's super cool. Mike King says, I'm a redfin man. Any luck on redfins? Cotton Cordell, redfin.
I'm not throwing them right now.
I'm Mike King. I am not a redfin man, so I couldn't tell you. I know they catch fish. I know people love them. I hate them. They're too light. They foul up all the time. Like if you're catching fish on a redfin, I'll just fish with something else. Like
a lot of people troll those things.
Yeah, I mean, I know they're stapled here.
Man, I was gonna say you're crapping on a North Florida Big Bend staple.
I'm not really a fan of it.
Legendary staple.
Legendary bait.
I mean that's like
Yeah, they're not my thing.
I use them, but
like
I'm not a fan.
They just flutter and just won't cast. And
the hooks suck. You got to change the hooks.
Just miss me with a redfin.
Man, you're turning a lot of people off right now. I know.
They work.
Yeah,
they do work.
They work. They catch fish.
Yeah. I bet old Lanny Baker throws a few redfins around.
Man, Lanny, I haven't been on Facebook, man. What's my man Lanny? Has he been on here?
Water temp's getting about right for Lanny to be out on the water.
Coming off the couch, man. Lanny's getting back. The Cooter 2 Weekly should be firing up.
I seen a post from him the other day. I thought he'd been in this creek.
Yeah, I think he went out there. He went out to Secret Creek, and it didn't do so. It wasn't so well.
Yeah, man. If he went out and didn't catch fish, you have to sit on the couch for a month and try it again.
All right. Well, so I guess So favorite thing to do, I guess we'll do that instead of best bets. Let's talk. We've been throwing so many spoons here lately. Michael Amos says, Lanny been going. Lanny, why haven't we been seeing any reports, Lanny?
Water ain't cold enough.
Yeah,
yet.
I know it.
Got to polish up that orange cooler.
Some tips for fishing a spoon.
Cast and reel.
Don't set to a bite.
Yes.
Don't set to a tap, I should say. Keep reeling
Keep
until
reeling.
you feel the pressure. And
So you feel. I tell my clients, reel until it gets heavy.
Yeah,
Yep.
do not
and
set
steady.
to a strike.
Yep.
A steady,
Reel until it gets
smooth
heavy.
reel.
Yep. And once it gets heavy, then that's when you. And I don't tell them to set. I just tell them raise the rod. Just raise the
come
rod.
tight. That's
Yeah.
all you got to do.
Yeah, just raise the
come
rod.
tight.
Yep. Because it the interesting thing about I guess if I'm trying to picture it in my head, what's happening as that redfish is trying to eat that spoon, that little tap that you're feeling, is them actually trying to fit it in their mouth as they're swimming along
missing,
with it.
I've seen them in clear water.
Right.
They're just they're trying to eat it. They're
Right.
just missing. They're hitting the because the spoon it's got the hook coming off the back of it. They're hitting the sides of it or hitting on top or under it. They're not eating it from the back. But you let them tap it a couple times. A lot of times they'll eat it from the back, and you got them.
Any theories why that is why they love them so much? Any ideas?
Spoons.
Yeah.
I don't really know. I think they're sensitive to vibration. I think, and they eat bait fish, they eat crabs, and that spoon can probably mimic either.
Yep.
I don't know, but they love them.
And I think it's more vibration, like you said, than it is flash, because I catch redfish at night on the spoon.
Yeah. Still throwing the same colors? I don't
Same
know that I've
colors.
ever thrown a spoon at
Same
night.
colors.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
It's vibration.
It's still got to be throwing some flash.
Oh, I'm sure, but I think it's more vibration than anything.
What were you going to say, Evan? Were you going to say something?
No, you guys are talking about
Okay.
night. I'm sorry.
Sorry. What about as far as rigging, though? I mean, obviously, barrel swivel, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I
Quality.
think a common mistake people make, and yes, quality barrel swivel, like a ball bearing swivel, not a 89-cent pack of 15 Eagle Claw from Walmart swivel.
No clip swivels.
No clip
Do not use a clip
swivels.
swivel.
But a common mistake people make is they put their swivel between their leader and their main
Yes.
line.
No.
Put the
No.
swivel on the spoon.
On the
split ring.
spoon. Yes.
And if you don't have if you're throwing a Johnson, you should be throwing an Aqua Dream. But if you are throwing a Johnson, add a split ring. You know, 'cause
Yeah,
I
they don't
think
come with a
they
split
don't
ring.
come with
Yeah,
a
I know.
split ring.
I somebody had left my spoon, Johnson spoon, on my boat, and I was gonna. We had one break off, and I was just trying to grab something quick, and I had a Johnson spoon right there, and I noticed when I went
Did
to pick
you
it
look
up.
at it and get disgusted? And
Yeah,
just
I
throw it in
did.
the
I
water?
did. I literally just about chunked it in the bottom of my boat because there was no split ring on it. It's got that hard wire weed guard that
Yeah.
I don't like. That I feel like
That welded on,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
hook.
Yeah.
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 They do work though,
They,
Oh,
I mean, they
they
do.
work. But
Yes.
yeah.
and especially if you're fishing deeper structure, you can
But
get
I
some
mean,
heavier Johnsons.
What
a
about?
Pinto car works to get you to work and bag, but it doesn't mean it's the best.
Yeah. So we talked about putting a swivel on, and that's just mainly to reduce line twist. But what else? Like
Another thing too is keep the swivel small, especially with this floating grass right now. The smaller swivel, that grass is going to push around and not collect up on it as
Trim
bad.
your tag ends tighter.
what knots are you
know-
tying to your spoon? Your swivel, clinch.
Yep.
Yeah. No loop knot.
No,
No, I feel
no
like,
reason.
So, I feel like if you have a split ring, that
That's
eliminates
the
having any bait, lure, spoon, whatever. If it has a split ring, just tie a clinch knot. There's no sense in having a loop knot.
How about action rod?
They're on medium.
I like a little heavier rod with a spoon, just because if you think about it, what angle when you hook up with a fish, 90% of the time, what angle is it coming at? It's coming directly
Right at
behind.
you, yep.
So it's swimming at you. So I just feel like you get a little better hook set
Yep.
and a little better stiffness on a little heavier rod.
I like a medium heavy spoon rod. Yep.
Just because that reason they're coming at you, so you don't have to move your rod tip as much.
Mm-hmm.
Which my rods are heavier on the heavier side, anyways.
I mean, you
Yeah,
can
and
you
then-
can use a medium. I mean, if you got a medium, that
it works.
It works
Mine's
fine.
a heavy medium though.
But
Well, we all know, and we've all used different brands of rods over the years, and held rods, and a medium is not standard through the industry.
They are not.
Industry.
And
That's why you
somebody
can't
needs
order
to.
things online.
All these companies need to get together, and can we agree on what a medium blank is?
Salt Strong did a really good thing on that, talking, and they had all these different rod manufacturers, and they tested them and rated them, and Matt could probably even put a link on there, and they were saying the same thing. Why is there not a standardized?
Yes,
It's
very
frustrating. How many
frustrating.
times have you guys, before you knew better, ordered a rod online years ago?
Yeah.
And you got it, and it's supposed to be a medium, and it felt like a medium light super limber, or it was supposed to be a medium heavy, or you bought a medium heavy and it was a broomstick.
Right.
Right.
It's just.
Right.
I mean, it's very frustrating, and now I won't even buy a rod unless I can go.
You
into
can
a
go feel
store
it. Yep,
and
feel
put
it.
my
Yeah,
hands on
yeah,
it.
or unless you have some prior experience with that exact.
Or you just don't care.
blank.
You just want to just get the rod and you'll use it.
Yeah,
You'll
it's
tailor it to
frustrating.
whatever the stiffness is.
Yeah, I
Right.
agree. Pete Pryor and Pete, we just talked about this. He said, "What about using a loop knot on the swivel for double the action?"
You're not going to get double.
You're not
action.
going to get double the action. The spoon's going to do what it does regardless. As long as you got a split ring on there, I think you're good, man. Just make sure you got your split ring and then your barrel swivel. Split ring and barrel swivel.
I
and,
will say,
and go.
if it makes you feel better, it's not going to hurt anything.
No,
If you want to tie a loop knot onto a split ring, like if you feel like.
although I will say this,
stretch,
what about some split rings I've noticed
It's not going to hurt.
can have that little gap in there, right? So what if you got a loop knot and that line starts to get
That could be an issue.
through
That
the
could,
little
because,
gap in the split ring?
If you're throwing top water or lure, how
Right.
many times have you ever had your leader, if you're throwing like 20-pound leader,
Right.
like get in your split ring,
Right.
and
Yep.
foul up your plug?
Yep.
So yeah, that could be an issue.
Yeah, so that would probably be the main reason I would stay away
Especially
from
if
a
you're
loop knot.
fighting a fish and it's tight.
Yep,
Right.
yep, and that thing spins
And
a little
that
bit.
can that can either come straight off a split ring or it can cause abrasion.
Yep,
On your leader. And break
exactly. Yep. So,
Speaking of leader, what weight leaders are you guys?
well,
throwing?
that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna ask you. So we just talked about rod action. We like medium to medium heavy. Real size, I have 2,500, 3,000. But as far as leader goes, man, they're
30.
so keyed in on that spoon. They ain't even worried about what size leader
No.
you're throwing.
No.
30
No.
just to be safe.
Yeah.
Why not throw 30?
You can absolutely throw 30. Why not throw the heaviest you could get
Why
away
not?
with?
You can grab when you're landing a
Exactly,
fish. You can grab
yeah.
the leader and
Yep,
pick the fish
yep.
up. I mean, because the fluorocarbon leader, or mono, is not spooking a fish. You know, only if you're sight fishing and gin clear water and you're throwing finesse baits, yeah, you can step it down then. But man, if you're power fishing with a spoon,
spoon, top water, any of those power baits,
I've been throwing 25, 30.
Just throw. And right now, there's a bunch of max and bluefish still running around out there, and you'll get sliced off with a little light leader, and even if you're throwing a spoon or a plug, like they're $7-8 a piece.
Yeah, we lost a Miradine today.
Yeah,
even 30-pound leader.
Yeah, throw 30.
No doubt. Yeah, and then anytime you're in any kind of tannic or darker water, it makes no
Don't
difference.
matter.
It don't make no difference.
If you're in gin clear water in the wintertime with spooky fish, leader down. Go 15, 10, 15, 20. Other than that, don't matter.
Yeah. And then what about line? As far as pound line you like?
Right now I'm throwing 15-pound Power
for a
Pro.
spoon.
Yeah, 10, 15. My standard guiding rods are generally 15, just because we throw popping corks sometimes, and 15 holds up better on a popping cork. But
yeah, the 10 will chafe. And
10 will chafe and pop on a popping cork, but 10 or 15 is fine. You're gonna get the casting distance. You start getting up to 20, you're losing a significant amount.
The biggest thing about a bait like a spoon is the ability to cover water, and you don't want to limit yourself on your casting distance by having line that's too heavy on there.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the advantages of that bait is your ability to cover water, and the longer cast you can make, the more water you can cover.
Ideally, if it's a rod that you're just going to use for lures, just going to use for spoons, put 10 on it and get the maximum amount of casting distance. If you're going to throw some corks, or you're maybe in some area with you got an all-around rod or some structure, if you fish some mangroves or some docks, you might step up. But if you're fishing clean water and you're not throwing corks, use 10-pound.
Yeah, my personal rod, I have 10-pound on all the time. That's all I
Just
use.
don't lock your drag down. You're good.
Yeah. But like you said, guide rods, I have 15.
Yeah, and that's just more versatile, right? That's just
It is. It's just more of the versatility. You can get away with, if somebody locks a drag down on you or high sticks a fish or something like that.
My personal rod that I use, I have 10-pound on.
Yeah, and I mean, people get scared of 10-pound, but the breaking strength of most of your performance braids these days is way over 10-pound, way over the actual 10 pounds that it says.
It's over 10 pounds, and most rods that reels that people are going to have 10-pound line on, max drag pressures 15, maybe 20.
Yeah,
and you're not going to have it locked down, so your drag's going to give before your line breaks in 95% of the cases.
And you should be fighting with the rod anyways.
I missed Eric James's comment from earlier. He says he fished Saturday and it was tough. He caught one 19-inch trout and some sea bass. Yeah, I heard the trout bite wasn't that great on Saturday.
We did good.
Did you?
We did good.
If you're catching sea bass, you're probably fishing a little deep.
Okay, there you go. Did you catch that, Eric? If you're catching sea bass, you're fishing. Although, I have been finding some sea bass in some of the potholes in the shallow flats.
Yeah, there's around shallow, but if you're catching sea bass,
I know.
If you're making the, if he's saying he's catching sea bass, he's probably fishing too deep.
Chris Harwood, what's up, guys? Got the old crew together. I see. Yeah, man, we got the old crew together. We are just kind of hanging out,
Chris,
doing our thing. Good. Appreciate you hopping on for a minute. Jason Johnson did answer my question about the bass fishing. He said, "Yes, sir. There's good bass fishing, but there's not weights, so not a lot of big bass in Cherry Lake."
Yeah, so you hear that, everybody. Don't go to Keaton Beach this weekend. Go bass fishing at Cherry Lake.
There you go. Yep. All right. I mean, if you guys got any more questions, I think we're getting close to wrapping it up. So there's still quite a few people on. We appreciate everybody coming out and hanging out with us this evening.
Mate.
Been good conversation. We can.
So about that golf game.
It's getting better.
It is getting better. We're hitting some really penetrating iron shots now.
Yes. Yeah. So I guess you got some clubs, and then that just triggered the drive to just go full on into it, huh?
Well, yeah, I went semi-retired in September, so I didn't guide a whole lot of trips. I just kind of played golf and worked on the yard and stuff. So, that's it's kind of a thing now, kind of a thing.
Yeah, man, I've played golf a long time. I don't get to play as much as I used to, but I still enjoy it. Jay Fishburne, we've had some conversations with Jay in the past. He says, what would it take to get y'all to fish a guide tournament? What do you mean by a guide tournament there, Jay? If you could elaborate a little bit more. What do you think he means? Just a tournament amongst guides, or?
It'd probably be hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to make my money, Jay. So, I mean, if I can, like, fish it with clients, maybe.
Yeah, that's the problem, Jay, is it's hard for us to turn down.
Guides only.
It's hard for us to turn down guaranteed money.
And
guaranteed money.
Like right now, I'm booked so far out on weekends.
Yeah.
It's be tough.
So.
I'd be like them guys at the walleye tournaments with you. I'll be shoving weights, baby, fish fillets.
Yeah.
You know,
There's been some great memes
man.
that have come out of that. I have seen some
Those guys are going to have to leave the country.
Yeah, they are never going to be able to go anywhere again.
Hey, you
that
know,
was
I fished
funny.
some local tournaments before where I was looking kind of sideways at some people's weights and links and weights of fish, and, you know, I'm like, you know what, it's just better not to say anything.
Yeah,
It's not big of a deal.
I fished one a couple hours south of here that weighed in a 27-inch red that was 11.5 pounds.
What?
Yeah.
And that one didn't get raised. That one didn't raise any
Oh no!
suspicions?
What was really good is it was over on one side, so they hollered to flip it, and it was perfect on the other side, and it was about a half-inch difference.
Hey, I fished a trout tournament around here one Saturday, and the team that beat me had their big trout was a pound less than my big trout, and all four of my kicker trouts were over 19 inches, and they beat me. Now tell me how that's possible.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. All right. We got another question. Trey Lucky says favorite plastics going into October and November.
Saltwater assassin, jerk shad, watermelon slice.
Yeah. My
A
favorite.
white zoom.
Yeah. My favorite is Slayer Ink paddle tail, and
Yeah, I got a bunch of
I
those
like
on the boat.
the Bounty Hunter, which is the black and gold. I like the
Little John.
I was going to get to that, but I was going over the other colors of the Slayers that I like. So,
Slayers.
yeah.
Gumbo.
Yeah, the gumbo is great. I like the pearl. What is it? It's the pearl and gold. It's the white and gold one. That's a really good color. The tiger bait, with the purple with the gold flake and the chartreuse tail. That's a really good one.
You use the FSU one?
I haven't used that one yet. No, but I know which one you're talking about. I also just got. So they make a 24 karat.
Yep.
Which is basically it's clear with just a ton of gold flake on it.
Yep.
So my thought is I'm going to throw a paddle tail that try to mimic a spoon with that bait. So
they work.
They've been hitting spoons so well. I figured they would.
Work.
So I got that color, and then like you said, the mirror. Once it gets into November and then early December, man, I'm gonna start throwing that little John.
What's that bait Pat was talking about the other day in Yankeetown? The gold one that he said the guy at Bass Assassin put too much flake in.
Oh, what was that?
But that just reminded me of that because Pat was talking about that the other day.
Yeah, I can't remember now.
Yeah, I don't know. I
guess
don't know that I was.
That was
I
a
don't know
fun
that I was
trip.
present for that conversation.
That was a fun trip.
Oh.
You were. I
You
think
guys still cannot put Pat on a snook. I mean,
Well,
you've
we did.
gone
Well, we
twice
did.
I
now.
was fishing with the invisible lure, and I got a couple bites. You know,
See,
it wasn't invisible anymore.
yeah, you just gotta let me get in on this situation, and we'll make sure and put Pat on a snook.
He had opportunity.
Yeah, that's funny.
They were there.
That's funny.
Just-
Pat's he's got that snook jinx.
yeah,
He's got it's like that big buck that trying to kill that first buck or something like that.
I mean, we took him. We took him one
So
time.
here's the deal. Pat's a few years older than us. I think that's fair to say. And he's never caught a snook before. So Kenny, not me, not Jay, Kenny has made it his personal mission
I have.
put Pat on his first snook. And so we've made a couple trips south of here trying to do it. And Pat has not caught a snook yet, but
Seen thousands.
it has been very entertaining trips, I would say.
Yeah.
We have a good time.
Oh yeah, it's been great.
All right, well, guys, I think we're gonna get close to wrapping it up. We've been rolling about an hour now. If you got any last minute questions or anything you guys want to talk about here as we kind of wrap up, One thing, Kenny, I forgot to do is I forgot to thank Keaton Beach Bums. They are one of our sponsors. So that whole spoon segment when we were talking about spoons was sponsored by Keaton Beach Bums.
Yep.
Right here on Keaton Beach Road and 2051 Beach Road, Perry, Florida. They've got.
Kenny gave him a shout out or two.
He did. He did. I just wanted to give him another shout out. Come back around and talk about the good food in there. All the tackle. Like, I mean, you said you got your Miradines from there, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I just bought a bunch of gold spoons from there right now.
Oh, yep.
You know, it's great for me in the mornings if I'm running low on something right here. I don't have to go anywhere. I just shoot up to the Beach Bums and grab a couple plaques of plastic or some spoons or whatever.
Absolutely.
They got plenty of those AquaDream spoons we've
They
been
do.
talking about.
Yep.
Oh,
You got to get them before the three of us do.
Their gas prices are decent.
Yep. Gas prices are actually they're better than in town for the most part. Yeah.
So if you think, and this is because I've been labeled as tight once or twice, but I pay attention to gas prices. It's no more. You think because Keaton Beach would be more remote, the gas prices are more expensive. It's no more expensive than anywhere else in Florida.
Right. Yep.
Most times cheaper.
So I always wait to get down here to get my gas.
They got everything. And to go fishing, you can get snacks for the boat. You can get all the ice. You can get non-ethanol gas. You can get your gulps or your slayers or your AquaDream spoons or your mirror lures or whatever there. I mean,
anything
really
they don't
save
have,
you
they
some
will.
time. Just pull in and stop there. You can get offshore bait.
Yep. Everything.
Yep. And the ice machines went up to $2.50, so that's more incentive to save that 50 cents if you're a tightwad like Evan.
Y'all got to come also. Now, I don't want everybody to get these because, you know, everybody can't be walking around Keaton with the same look as me, but they got all kinds of other stuff, camouflage. They got OD green, the grays. Y'all come check out these buoy boots. They're pretty much, from we can tell, basically the same thing as Extra Tough. I hope Extra Tough don't send me a cease and desist over that.
Yep. Hats. What are we looking at here guys? We're looking at flip flops.
Lots of good stuff.
Tumblers over here, right over here. Got tumblers. Got your Maui Jim sunglasses. If you want an Apalachee Inshore sticker, you can come get one of those right over here. There's Apalachee Inshore sticker. Evan's got a little bit of apparel in here. He's gotten in good with Stephanie and George. He's
don't forget
buttered him up somehow. I don't know how he's done it, but he's got on their good side.
Don't forget about Keaton Beach Vacation Rentals.
Yes, and then also Stephanie and George do run Keaton Beach Vacation Rentals, which they were our title sponsor last month.
Look at this little thing.
Yeah. They've got several properties right here in Keaton Beach, and, I mean, there's not a better time to be here than the next couple months. So if you want to come down here.
You need to reach out because they're probably booking up. Like there's
Yeah.
October and November.
Is Stephanie in there? Is she?
Yes.
Is she around there? Tell her to pop out.
Pop out.
So we are we want to appreciate you for hosting us tonight. We've talked about the trading post here tonight, but I was just going to ask you real quick as far as your rentals. You got pretty good openings from now until the end of the year, or is it starting to fill up? So if people wanted to get a reservation, they need to do that.
Come and reach out.
They need to do that ASAP, and that's KeatonBeachVacationRentals.com, right?
No better place to stay down here.
If you go to KeatonBeachVacationRentals.com, it shows all of the list of their properties. They've got pretty much everything for any situation, whether you got a big, giant group wanting to come or it's just a couple people come down. They've got something to fit your needs.
Yeah, and they live down here, so if a dishwasher breaks, she'll send George down straight away to
Exactly.
fix it.
Yep.
Middle of the night, whatever, just call her.
So
Yeah.
we really appreciate Stephanie working with us. Stephanie and George have treated us well, so we want to make sure that we give them plenty of love on here. If that's it, we are going to wrap it up.
Sorry. Eddie sent us a text.
Oh, I got you.
Wild man.
We are going to wrap it up. Evan, we need to go play golf here soon again.
Let's go in the morning.
I can't go in the morning. I gotta work tomorrow.
You have a job?
Yeah, I got a job.
Yeah, me too. Sometimes.
So, but we do.
If you
need to
play
go.
with a hockey stick, I'd go.
We'll go again here
Happy
next
Gilmore.
week or so. But Evan, we appreciate you coming and hang out, man. It was good for you to hop on here and join us tonight and hang out. I mean, I guess most everybody knows, but Evan Snow is owner operator Apalachee Inshore Charters, one of the guys down here at Keaton Beach. So ApalacheeInshore.com on Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. So if you want to find him, you can find him there. Do you want your phone? You want to throw your phone number out there, or are you good? They can find it online, right?
I'm good.
Yep. All right, so that's going to wrap us up. For Kenny Mullins, I am Captain Jay Carson. We appreciate y'all joining us. This is the Big Fin Fishing Report, and we will see y'all next month.